This is a lesson on slope. If you've seen slope before, then you've probably seen this little formula. So we have m, which is slope, and is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So what we're going to do, again, this is slope. And if we're given a couple points, so like 3, 8, and 5, 1. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a point there, and then 5, 1 is a point right there. So we're looking for the slope for that line. So as you can see, it's going down a hill. So from left to right, it's going down, which means the slope is negative. So it's always good to kind of keep track of whether your answer should be positive or negative, instead of just coming up with a number. And let's plug in our values. So we have y2, that's the second y value. So if you're going in order, this is 0.1, that's 0.2. The second y value would be 1. So I'm going to say 1. And then I'm going to look for my second y value, which would be 8, or my first y value, excuse me. So I'm going to say 1 minus 8 is my numerator. After I do that, I'm looking to get my x value. So if I used the second point, this 1 I used first, I need to use the 5 from that same point first. So 5, and then the next x value, which would be the minus 3. So we have 1 minus 8, which is negative 7, 5 minus 3, which is 2. So my slope is negative 7 over 2. So if I just kind of went like this, down 7 over 2, and you had your graph, you could do it that way as well. This is a pretty quick way to do it, though, instead of graphing it, because most people take a little bit longer than they need to for graphing. Now I'm going to show you a slightly different way to do this, and that's kind of a shortcut when the points are nice. So if you went from 8 to 1, okay, that's your change in y. So if you went to 8 to 1, you would have gone down 7. And then if you divide that by the change in x, which would be from 3 to 5, which would be up 2, I get negative 7 over 2, which is the same number. It's a lot quicker. So let's try that with another set of points. So let's go with 3, 9, 7, 14. So if we're looking at going from 9 to 14, that's up 5. And from 3 to 7, that's up 4. My slope would simply be 5/4. And that's a pretty quick way of getting the slope. Now there are some special cases. There are 2 actually. And so let's just kind of throw a couple points at you and we'll try it. You should probably pause and try it and see what you get. So let's go 5, negative 3, and then 2, negative 3 is the other point. So if you pause, you can take your time, do whatever you need to do. I'm going to go right for it. So I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to take the y values. I'm going to say, hey, I went from negative 3, and I'm staying at negative 3. So actually my delta y, my change in y, is 0. And then from 5 to 2, I've gone down 3, and that's my change in x. So that's another name for that is the run. And 0 divided by negative 3 is 0. So if you get 0, that's one of my 2 special cases. That is a horizontal line. Okay, and if we graph that point, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, there's one of them. 3, 4, 5, there's the other. And if you looked at it that way, you'd have seen that, yep, that is a horizontal line, all right, and the slope is clearly 0. So let's jump into example number 2 and special case number 2. And maybe you can predict it, maybe you can't. 5, 1. 5, 5. So again, nothing crazy here, pretty simple numbers. 1 to 5 is up 4. 5 to 5 is over 0. So my slope, a lot of people say that's 0 or say it's 4. The actual answer is undefined. Okay, and there's a couple ways I'm going to explain this, but I'm going to graph it first. So 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, and you can see it's a vertical line, which looks more like that. So it's a vertical line. Oops, wrong button. Okay, now, so we know it's a vertical line, and the way you have to describe the slope is undefined. There's no other correct way to say it. It's undefined. So another way to look at this is if we just had a random number, so like 7. Now let's use something nicer. 100. It's a nice number, right? And we divide it into, we can divide that into 10 groups. We would get 10. And 100 divided by 5 would be 20, right? And if we divide it by something smaller, the numbers get bigger. And 100 divided by 1 is 100. Can I divide by something smaller? How about I divide by 0.1? So I actually get 1,000. Okay? And 100 divided by 0.0001, well, that's too many zeros, but we'll go with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add 5 zeros. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Now what's really happening is if I went up 100 and over 0.00001, my slope is 10 million. So I'm going up 10 million and over 1, which you could never graph. And the reason I'm talking about this and doing such a ridiculously small run is that if it were 0, you'd be going up and never over. So it's such a steep slope that there's no number for it. You can't describe how quickly you're going up because you're not going over. And that's slope.